Recovery is stupendous.
Achievable.
Hope.
Freedom.
Empowering.
It's unique to everyone.
It's a journey, not a destination.
Getting a new lease on life.
It's finding restoration after you fall down.
Recovery is having the freedom to enjoy life.
For me, it was finding a way to really love myself.
My recovery is possible in part because of my own sense of purpose.
Hello, and welcome to Recovery Talks. I'm Leah Wetzel, Montana's Peer Network's recovery coach, certified behavioral health peer support specialist. Today is really dedicated to some of the work I do with the 8th Judicial Veterans Court within the Indigenous dynamics. And we have a very special guest here with us today, Martin St Goddar, and I am very blessed to have met this gentleman throughout life, to have him in my life, and to also be very honored to be able to work with him within our contract with the 8th Judicial Veterans Court. Martin, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Martin John St Goddar, from the Blackfeet tribe. And my grandma once told me that my Blackfeet name is Buksabiksi, which means Birdman. Just like just proud, very proud to be here. I'm glad that I'm here just at this time, after all addiction that I've been through and where it led me to now. And I'm just glad that, I'm able to actually be on this journey right now to want to get out and just kind of spread the news to people that see me now compared to how I used to be, and just want them to know that recovery really is possible if you want it. And maybe I could be more of a example, because the people that I used to associate with, I do know a few of them that were in the talks of wanting to sober up and live a better life, but the community that I was in, every majority of the people used hard drugs and alcohol, and they would kind of outcast them and shun them, and didn't want that to happen. So I noticed they just keep going and going. But I once heard multiple people saying they wanted a better life, and they were just more or less just could I put it, just clueless on how to even go about doing that. And most of the time when somebody does find recovery, it's because they got locked up or they've lost everything they had. And witnessing that time after time, and myself also going through that experience, I just kind of would want people, to catch people before that actually happens to them, because this ain't no place for somebody that, once used to have a decent life and, they just went off drugs and alcohol, took them on a different road, and then just kind of, let people know that, let them know that, before it gets too late, recovery is possible. I mean, they just don't know where to reach out, and maybe I could help them, let them know that there's actually a lot of people, more people than I thought. I mean, it's kind of like when you're in that lifestyle, you just don't know where they're at. Like they're hiding, but they're really not. It's just that you're not in that world. I just like to say, from Blackfeet tribe, my family was mainly, they come from like a ranching family, out there in the Badger Creek area between Browning and Heart Butte. I grew up in Browning myself, the community. And well, my dad, he moved to Browning when he was at the age of 18. And then he got a hold of me when I was about 13 months old, he said. I witnessed him just with the alcoholic lifestyle. He never was a user of any other drug. He was just a hard alcoholic. And with him, it was coming up, I guess you could say it was a norm to just to be alcoholic. Drinking was part of everything. I mean, there was the social drinkers, that would work, and then their Fridays, they drink all Friday. And then that's just what I witnessed growing up, basically born into that lifestyle of witnessing alcoholics as it was coming up. And myself, I I started out at a young age because of the peers I was around, which were my older cousins. I was the youngest out of the crowd, and I just kind of grew up around older people, which kind of made me mentally think I was older, which I really wasn't. And I was, eventually peer pressured into marijuana, and that just, I guess you could say, eventually turned into alcohol. And I started at a young age, about the age of 12, and I was at a young age, so I was still healthy, and I was able to do the drinking at night and then sober up. I'd go to school, and it just eventually snowballed into harder drugs. It was crank back then in my community, and then meth came along and turned into crank. Got pushed out of the picture, and it was just meth, and then I was a functioning drug addict slash alcoholic, and that just slowly snowballed into the, how could I put it, where I was just basically all about the life of an addict, just drinking and drugging. And I had a lot of dreams. I had a lot of hopes that I wanted to do, but it just never got around to it. But I'm a single father. I got my three sons, age 14, 13, and I got my 5-year-old. And I served in the Montana Army National Guard from the years of 2005 to 2008. 19 Kilo, which was a tank driver, tank crewman. And right now, I'm very early in recovery, and it's getting better. I'd like to say daily, but it's really not. For me, it's more of like a weekly deal, because my mental status is the same all the time. But eventually, I'll catch myself just applying the stuff I was subjected to early in this eighth Judicial Treatment Court, which was an IOP. I call it IOP. It's intense outpatient treatment. We did that for, what was it, Monday, Wednesday, and a Friday of every week from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. And I did that for 15 weeks, and we just did a lot of packet stuff, and I applied a lot of that stuff to my daily life. Just I just really I don't know, just I just got into it, which I'm glad I did, because I even tried to help out the kids' mom, she was still very she's still currently using, but she was still she tried it, she gave it a shot. I'd get off class, and then I would go to my apartment, and I would try to, instill some of the stuff that I learned that day to her, to try to help her, convince her, process over into recovery, which was unsuccessful. But there'll be a time and day when she's ready. She's just not ready right now.
So in a way, you were already implementing some of the peer support work that you were learning within your own relationships, it sounds like.
Yeah.
And I just want to acknowledge that since you started coming to the Warrior Down Healing Circle, close to a year ago, I've seen a huge change in the positive in you. And it's really inspiring to see a young Indigenous man, taking the role of being a single father and doing all the work that you're doing within yourself. And you talked a little bit about, where you come from and, growing up within that lifestyle. So You were 13 when or 12 when you started using. So, how was it that you ended up getting into the service and then into what ended you up from there to the Veterans Court?
Yeah. Well, when I was about the age of 15, that was 99 and 2000 New Year's. I committed a crime of well, it was because of alcohol. We were at a friend's house. We drank hard alcohol, and I ended up going into a blackout stage, and I ended up assaulting another individual with a knife, and um, it went federal because it's on a reservation. And like 3 years later, just yeah, about 2.5 years later, got served with a federal summons court for a court summons, and they indicted me for the assault charge. That's I was at the age of 17, and then they sentenced me to, because of my alcohol problem and my meth problem. They sent me to they called it Swan Valley Youth Academy, which is over in the Swan Range, over by Big Fork area. It's on the west side of the mountains, and I was there for 8 months. It was basically a lockdown juvenile treatment center slash military structured center for for adolescents, I guess. It's a 12-step program, and I was there for 8 months, and then I graduated from that place in 2003, and then I volunteered for the Montana Youth Challenge. So after completion of the first program, the Swan Valley Youth Academy, I went over from there to the Montana Youth Challenge of January of '04. And then in '05, I completed that program with a GED. But while I was there, I enlisted in the National Guard. I was still under federal probation, I guess, and it was kind of a not crazy, but it was kind of, in a way, the way it all happened, because my middle school PE teacher's name was Todd Carver, and he was no longer working at the Browning Middle School. He became a Army recruiter, and he was there at the Butte Met Station, and he remembered me. So I told him my situation, and with the youth challenge and everything, and he was glad I was signing up. He was a teacher there, PE teacher in Browning there for quite a few years. So he was glad that it was somebody from Browning that was actually wanting to join the military. So he went out of his way as much as he could, and he he got a hold of. He said, "Just leave it to me. I'll do my best. I'll do what I can. I'll talk to people to get you to enlist." And sure enough, the judge at the time was Judge Sam Haddon, and he agreed to release me from federal system at that age as a minor, expunge my record all the way up until the date that I flew to Fort Benning, Georgia, which was July of 2003, to start basic training. And from there, I really I relapsed after basic training, got back to Browning, and I was doing fine there for a while, but I think it was just the group of people I was associated with, still kind of young and wild, and come out of there kind of even a little bit wilder, and was just relapse for quite a few years, alcohol, meth, and then as time went on, I was 18 back then, and I had two children, and I had one in '07, the first boy, and the next one was in '08, And then this guy was the 5-year-old was born in 2016.
So how long did you end up being in the service for?
Oh yeah, well see that's one part too was because of where I was at. I was in there from 2005. I was doing my monthly drills down here in Great Falls, and I separated from the National Guard in August of 2008.
I see. And so talking about, you know, growing up with your dad, you ended up, obviously your parents were separated, and then your dad got you when you got a little older. So what kind of work did your dad do, and how did that inspire you?
I remember, let's see, when I was very young, I bounced around from within my family because of my dad's heavy drinking. My aunties mainly, they just kind of, as I got older, I kind of realized they must have just, had basically got tired of me for a certain time. And then one auntie would take me, the next auntie would take me, and my grandma would jump in on it. I'm very grateful for that. But I was young. I was under the age of 10 during all of that. Then my dad, he really didn't really work. He did every now and then when he would sober up. I mean, I think it was mainly just spot jobs, a lot of ranch hand work, and he mainly just drank a lot. And then up until about the age of 10, actually one night, with my younger sister, she's 3 years younger than me. She's deceased now. She died in of July of 2020 because of cirrhosis from drinking. But back when we were young, my dad never really worked up until the age of 10, and that's where I get a lot of my inspiration now. Is because our life really changed was when I was around 10 years old. Well, the event happened when we were about 9. I was 9, my sister would have been 7. I don't know, 6 or 7. Him and my stepmom were drinking, and me and my sister were in the other room. We were in the room put to sleep, and then they got done partying. My dad happened to pass out with a cigarette on a mattress. There was no flame, but the mattress was smoldering. All of the insides of the mattress smoldered to where the whole duplex, our duplex, filled up with smoke. And it took like a neighbor to come, basically kick the door down, wake my dad up. Fire department showed up. Fire department actually got us out because we were all still sleeping, so we would have probably succumbed to the smoke, but we all got out of there. And me and my younger sister were taken to this place in Browning called a nurturing center, and we were put in there for, I believe it was a total of 43 days. And well, now I know my dad and my stepmom weren't allowed to get custody of us until they completed inpatient treatment. So that was a big part of the 43 days. And I believe after inpatient treatment, I think he got like a week or two of outpatient treatment. So that, I think that's what led up to the 43 days, because after that 43 days, my dad just showed up because we were both confused on what was going on there, because we were there and we didn't know how long we were going to be there, why we couldn't leave, why our dad and mom never came to see us. My sister would cry every night. They separated girls from the boys, and I hear my sister crying because she's down there all by herself and she's not used to that. So I would sneak down there. Then one of the workers would do their rounds, and then they would see that I'd be in there laying by my sister, and then they would make me go back to the boys' side, and I hear her crying every night. So I'd sneak down there. So it got to the point to where they would stick one of the workers in the middle of the hallways that separated the boys and the girls' side to prevent me from going down there to sleep by my sister. And we was there for 43 days, and my dad eventually, that's what straightened him up. This is where a lot of my inspiration came from. And he straightened up. He came and he got us out. He did the court requirements, and he ran for Blackfeet Tribal Council. I was about the age of 10, and he was elected. And he did that for the next 10 years of his life, sober. I never really seen him hit the AA scene, although he did, but he didn't really tell me. But he kind of did it to where he used a lot of religious stuff. He was always praying, had a Bible, was attending churches. It seemed like he did it all on his own way. But he did it. He's still sober to this day, which I believe he said is 30 some years so sober.
Wow.
And he did that. That was his line of work from when I was the age of 10 all the way up until I believe he did the tribal council deal for like 10 years.
Wow, that's really cool. And also for our listeners, last year, within the work I do with the missing murdered Indigenous people, I'm on the North Central Montana task force of that. Martin was one of the participants that came up. We did an event called the We the People event in Cut Bank to support the search of baby Arden and Leo Gallagher. And Martin came up and shared his life story there at that event that day. And his dad was there supporting him. And it was really cool to watch. And so Martin and his dad have always had and his family have always really had a special place in my heart. And we later found out we're related too. So that's pretty cool. And so getting into, so you got your boys back, you got your own place, you're working, and you're in, what phase are you in within Veterans Court?
As of now, it's April 2nd. I'm currently in phase 4, but I'll phase up to the 5th phase on the 11th of April 2022.
Nice, and that's coming up quick. And
Yeah.
And I know that you spoke a lot about your goals and aspirations, and also within the program of the 8th Judicial Veterans Court, each individual has to do a community outreach project. And Martin, do you want to talk a little bit about your outreach project that you do before you graduate?
My outreach project I'm gonna do this documentary on myself, my journey to before recovery and during recovery, and with it, I just kind of really want to put it out there to this younger generation, because I kind of want to get a hold of them before they succumb to this lifestyle of addiction, regardless of the drug, because it's all different forms of drugs. But yeah, I just want to kind of want to get the word out there to where it's not worth it, and there's only going to be 2 outcomes of it. It's death or jail, and it's just really not worth it at all. So you're just going to lose everything. If you do have something, you'll eventually lose it. Your freedom, just everything's going to be lost to addiction lifestyle.
Definitely. And with us coming from the same tribe, the Blackfeet tribe, knowing the realities of our reservation and knowing the realities of our Indigenous people, definitely our youth are the ones that need that awareness and that support. And seeing how peer support has affected you in a positive way, having somebody that's been through it like you, been through growing up on the reservation, been through living within alcoholism and addiction, and being a veteran, going through the system, you would be a great voice for them to hear. And starting more programs and getting more resources for our tribal areas, I think, is really key, because you said it earlier, within even your dad's recovery, your recovery. You know, it's a definitely a factor within the reservations that we don't have many resources up there.
Yeah. I'd also like to, before I forget, I kind of want to, during this community outreach project, the documentary I want to do is I also want to I kind of want to get out there to people that are still, early in their recovery, but still got that thought behind them that, they're just doing what they got to do now to get the court off their backs, so they can start using it again. About, I want to get out through a message to them about the mental abuse that it's given to their kids. That that it's just try to get a hold of them now, get the word to them now while they're clean and sober. That even that they're doing, like what you're doing to your children mentally, and that they're gonna live with it for the rest of their lives, the way I did, the way we all did.
Definitely, and that's an important message. And as we both know, that a lot of, once you're in recovery, a lot of it is, and you say this all the time, a mental game. It's more or less keeping our mental state better. Of course, our physical, our spiritual, and our emotional. But you've been a big product of what happens in recovery.
Yes.
I just want to, acknowledge again that you're a big inspiration within not only your program, but for your people and for your family. And I just think it's really amazing the work that you're doing. And again, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
Yes, thank you.
And for our listeners, keep an eye out for Martin St Goddar. He's definitely a rising star within our Indigenous recovery community, within our recovery community altogether. And so, again, thank you for being here tonight. And for our listeners, we hope you like something that you heard tonight. If you have any input, how we could do anything better, or some ideas, please reach out. Catch us on our website. You can email me, leah@mtpeernetwork.org. And if you'd like to be a guest, reach out. So thank you, Martin.
Yes, thank you.
Have a good night, everybody.
Recovery works and recovery is possible.
Recovery works and recovery is possible.
Recovery works. Recovery is possible.
Recovery is possible.
Recovery works and recovery is possible.
Recovery works and recovery is possible.
Recovery works and recovery is possible.
Recovery